Hello, this is John Hall calling. Sorry for the glitch. Can somebody email me, or not email me, just send a under the question thing and tell me that they can hear me now and see the screen and everything's okay? Um, that would be really, really helpful for me so that we can get started here. Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to assume while people are doing that, I'm going to assume, there you go. Thank you, Ellen. Sorry for the confusion. There was a glitch on the GoToWebinar app today, so I really apologize for being a little behind. My name is John Hall, and look forward to having, I'm glad I got that taken care of for you guys. We're going to have some fun for the next couple of hours, and I'm John Hall from the Hall Design Group. Many of you know me. We've got a nice large crowd today. So what we're doing, we're in webinar form, which means that you're silenced, but you can type questions and things like that. If I don't get to it, then please go ahead and email me afterwards and things like that. Okay, so let's get started. Why am I doing this class? Why am I sitting here on a beautiful morning and sitting in Chagrin Falls and things? You know, I really, really love educating, and I've been doing this now for 30, 35 years. People that have followed me through the pandemic knows that every 2 weeks I had gone and done an hour webinar. And so I've got a great library if anybody's interested, talking about cabinetry and countertops and things like that. What we're going to do today is going to condense it down into a two-hour class. And we're going to talk about everything that can go into kitchens. And one of the things that's nice today is that it's so hard. I mean, going out there and everything that's going on in the world, and you have so many tools out there to get educated, and you really need to. There's just so much out there to understand and to have fun with. Everything from appliances, and I'll even shoot some names of companies that I use that you may want to take some notes on, and you know, enjoy going and talking to those people. I had an 8 o'clock meeting this morning, and you know, I gave him, he was a do-it-yourselfer, and gave them all the resources with the names and that. He was very grateful. So take notes on that as we go. Okay, so let's get started. One of the things I mentioned, this is not a sales thing. It's not a sales thing at Coors. I'm not going to take emails and contact you guys and solicit. I don't believe in that. That is not the intent. But one of the things that I have done through the pandemic, I would think if anybody out there is truly serious, because I've gotten such rave reviews on this, is to go and for only $100, you can get the complete access to my webinar archives. And I'm talking, it is just invaluable information. I wrote a book, client survey form. I even have a kitchen pricing program, all for only $100. That's basically covering my costs for the books and everything else. But I'm telling you, with the money you're going to invest, you would be foolish not to email me if you've enjoyed this class to be able to take further advantage of everything I offer. Okay, so let's start talking now. Let's just jump right in. Advantages of a new kitchen. Better design. You get, you know, not just aesthetics and fun. I mean, you get everything from not only the function, but the beautiful looks today that are out there with finishes and things like that. That's that new look. And then also it's an investment. You know, I'm going to be looking to do my kitchen over the next year or so. And, you know, I look at it as a great investment into the house. So all three of those combined will give you a long-lasting place where memories can be created and you can have a great time in that. Okay, here's one I'm going to go through about 20 times and say this is my favorite slide today, but the home attitude curve. I love this situation. What do you expect and what to expect when you're out there and going to take on a remodel? And it doesn't even have to be a kitchen. It could be a bathroom, could be a basement, could be anything. But this is what I refer to as the home attitude, the homeowner attitude curve, and what happens. Okay, so you start talking to somebody. Sales presentation. You know, you meet somebody, you enjoy working with them, and then you ask them to start a design for you. So they're going to do the sales presentation, and then they come out with the design and the agreement, and you're all excited. My God, finally, after all these years, we're getting our new kitchen. And then you get that little bit of a dip. And what that little bit of a dip is I'm driving away and you've given me your check. And then about so many weeks later, I call and say, hey, construction's going to begin. You get all excited again. And then your kitchen's torn out and there's another dip. And then the cabinets, after 2-3 weeks of being torn out, the cabinets start getting installed and you're excited. And then all of a sudden it falls off the cliff. And what that falling off the cliff is that you can't template for countertops until the cabinets are set. So as you go through and you're waiting, and this is where when I work with people like that guy this morning, and you want to have good resources in your back pocket, because if you're a flash in the pan for a granite person, you could be 5 to 10 weeks before you get your countertops back. My people are usually about 2.5 weeks. And so that's, you're waiting, and really nothing much can be done because you can't do the plumbing, you can't put the tile backsplash on and things like that. So that's where that big dip comes in. And then when the job's done, hopefully if you're all happy, you go there, the job's complete. And that's how I live, off of referrals, and with that curve all of a sudden taking that upward slope. Okay, so that's what to expect on that. Okay, let's start. The first part we're going to talk about today is going to be cabinetry. Now, a couple different things we can do with cabinets. We can either reface them or we can get new cabinets. I don't do much refacing today, but if anybody's, what refacing basically is you take the existing cabinets and take the doors off and put new doors on. So with refacing, price is a big advantage. Not going to be as expensive because you don't have to tear out and all that with the labor, from that standpoint. Easy maintenance, because usually what it's going to be a laminate or a foil door or something like that. So that's something then to to consider, that you're not going to basically be getting. Now you could put wood doors on, but then all of a sudden, on the sides of the cabinet, you're going to have to start veneering the sides with the wood and things like that. And then all of a sudden, you're going to say it should be basically, it's going to run into the price of a new cabinet. So that's, you want to be careful of that. Selections of materials. There's a lot of laminates out there to choose from to get that great look. And there's a lot of even wood grain laminates that are actually laminate, but they look just like wood. So you can have a lot of selection and variation in the laminates today. New cabinetry and investment, more flexibility. So I'm not working with an existing design. I'm taking basically an empty room and I can do whatever I want with it. Not limited, like I just said, to what I want to do. Okay, so now we're going to get into the next 10 minutes or so, the nuts and bolts of construction. This is really important on one of my webinars. I explained this for a whole hour so that you can go out, because cabinetry and appliances are going to be two of the bigger investments that you're going to make with the renovation. There's 4 styles of kitchens, and we're going to talk about them in a moment. But let me just tell you what the 4 styles are. 4 styles are the 4 styles are modern or contemporary, transitional, which we'll talk about in detail, traditional, and country. So you're going to pick one of those 4 styles. If you're going to pick transitional or modern, you're going to be going with a frameless cabinet. If you go with traditional or you go with country, then you're going to be going with a frame cabinet. And you can see the frame door style on the left, and that shows the hinges. You don't have to have hinges today with frame cabinetry, but it's just much more of a traditional appearance, much more classic in design, where your frameless is much more streamlined. So with frame cabinetry, there's the frame, shows the hinges or doesn't have to today. I just did a job in Aurora, and she wanted to show the hinges because she had a Century home, and they're beautiful. Chamfers. What a chamfer is, it's a detail, and you probably have it on some of your furniture at home, where you can go and take that outside edge there, And let's even say, keep it in layman's terms, we take a ice cream scooper and we scoop out that sharp front edge, and that's called a chamfer. So if I ever want to design where I want to have something to look like furniture, maybe I bump the sink forward or the island or something else like that, you can put a chamfer on it, and it really adds a nice touch. Beaded or flush inset, I'll show you a little more in detailing about that in a moment. Sturdier construction, and it's not a reason to buy it, the frame cabinetry, because of the construction. It's just that it is a little sturdier. I can go larger with cabinets, like I could go up to a 72-inch cabinet, and you say, well, where would I ever use that? Well, you could use that in the, let's say, a bathroom set of vanities or an island if you don't want any seams between the cabinetry. So there's some advantages to that. Frameless cabinetry, no frame, hinges are attached to the box, no exposed hinges, so you won't see any exposed hinges. Size limitations, I can only go so wide with that. You know, usually up to about 48 inches on a cabinet with frameless. Now, one of the things that I do, let me go back, I want to show you one thing. If you look at that picture of that door, that's a door sample. And what I do for people is I get them an actual door like that so that they can carry around through the project when we go shopping for tile or countertops, things like that. Okay, so why I showed you that. Now we're going to take that sample and we're going to turn it on its side. And these are the different cabinet constructions that we can get today. The top full overlay or frameless, and the slash line is the door. Standard overlay. I just wrote an order up this week for a laundry room for somebody, and they said, can I just have the cheapest that I can get, John, just for the laundry room? And what we did was we went with standard overlay. So you can see that the door does not cover the whole frame. It sits outside the frame. That's a frame cabinet there. And then we can do what's called 3/8 inset, where we can take and route out the back side of the door. So the door is still 3/4 of an inch thick, but it only looks like it's 3/8. Not popular today. That was popular way back in the 80s and early 90s. And then the last one at the bottom is the most popular framed situation, and that's called inset. That is where the door is actually sticking in the frame, and we'll see examples of that. So of the four, people are either going to buy the top, the frameless, or they're going to buy the framed inset. There's an inset door. So you can notice there that the door is sticking into the frame. Now, this is where we're going to talk about the beaded inset and the flush inset. So if you have let's say a very traditional house, and you want to have the door be a little more ornate and the cabinetry be a little more ornate, we can take and put on that opening a bead. So you see that bead going around the door. Just to jump ahead, what your other option is that the flush inset. Now, the flush inset is much more popular today because people are much more minimalistic. They're looking for maybe more of a mission style door or shaker style door, something like that, not as ornate. But you do have the choice of both. One thing also to talk about on this door is you notice all the black highlighting. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but that's called a glaze. I like to refer to it like shoe polish. You can take shoe polish, wipe it right on, then you can wipe it right off. So that adds really a nice accent to your woods, cherry, alder, things like that. There's that no bead again. That flush, it's called a flush inset. But you notice having the door flush with the frame really is a nice touch. And you're not going to get that on some of your inexpensive stock cabinets. You're only going to get that in your mid-range to upper end of your cabinetry. There's that standard overlay I was talking to you about, where the door sticks outside of the frame. There's a 3/8 inset. Same thickness door as that, but you see it doesn't look as thick because it's routed out in the back. full overlay. Now, the difference, I'm toggling between full overlay and frameless. They're both, the appearance is going to be very similar, but full overlay is where the cabinet still has a frame, but the door can cover most of it. I happen to be a little more particular. I'm not as wild about full overlays because when you put two cabinets together, you're going to have a ½ inch gap between the doors because they have to have that 3/16 on each cabinet to allow the hinge to open. I know that's technical. If you take that webinar series, I'll explain it fully. But this is what full overlay would look like. Frameless would be more of a modern look. You get that feel there. Some of the different options with you can get with cabinetry today. If anybody has been at the IX Center, I'm giving 4 talks, one tomorrow. I'm giving this talk tomorrow at, no, 25 tips to the perfect kitchen. Tomorrow it's at 1 o'clock. And I've also talked about having I also have a talk down there called Kitchen Trends 2022, which is also on that webinar series if you want to listen in. But that flat panel was one of the trends that people are getting more minimalistic and going with a flat panel option. Recessed panels, probably the most popular panel today, where it's sunken in the middle. And then your raised panel, where you can do the raise in the middle. Not as popular today. Okay, styles of kitchens. There's the 4 I was talking about. So let's go through each one and see where you guys would be categorized. Country, we'll start with country. Country's not as popular today as it used to be. I used to sell a ton of oak kitchens and things like that. Just not there as much anymore. Still available though. Okay, country gives you a warm feeling. Woods with deeper grains. Oak, pine, ash, hickory, and alder. Stained or painted finishes. Wear through on some of the painted finishes. So what we can do is sand off the corners of the door and wear through so it looks much more antiqued. Accessories include knickknacks, warm tiles, natural stones, glass doors, plants, and you'll see a lot of this in my samples coming up. And what I'm going to show you with pictures, probably about 1/2 to 2/3 are my work, and a couple of these are going to be factory shots. It's a kitchen I did. See how the warmth? This happens to be painted with a glaze on it. You got a knotty chestnut beam with the entrance door, so there's a lot of warmth in here. Down in Lodi, here's another painted finish with a brushed glaze. If you look at that island, the end of that island, you could see how get that nice brush glaze to it. Just look at even all the accessories. Look at the CD glass for the pendants, and the floor, the warmth in the floor, things like that. Chagrin Falls. Hudson. There's that wearing through. Look at the black on the island on the doors. It's hard to see in these shots, but that's what we wore through on that. My favorite part of this, even though I did this whole kitchen, I love the clock. I love those pendants. It's a whole nother dimension. Traditional, touch of class. Take country woods and change them to either cherry or maple. Stained or painted finishes again. Beware that cherry will darken one whole shade, so select it on the lighter side. Frame, look at the frame cabinetry all of a sudden. That gives you a good example of frame cabinetry. The cabinetry over towards the left, that 3-drawer stack, you can see the frame in the cabinetry. Mentor. Another picture of that first slide. Modern. means the style of the day, doing more and more modern kitchens. Woods, laminates, or lacquers. Very clean, elegance through simplicity, very linear. High gloss or matte finishes. There's the full overlay or frameless. No soffits. People, even on any of these styles, people are tending to take the soffits out today. If you don't know what a soffit is, it's basically that box above your cabinets. Here's a Solon kitchen. And you can see very clean. Look at where the, that's a steam oven down at the end. But look how we built that in, and all the cabinetry is just very clean, no framework, no anything. Do we have any West Siders out here? Don't want to leave you out. Strongsville. Very modern. Do you notice on these kitchens, by the way, there's no, the island, the countertops are very understated. Look at the paint colors, just very subtle, just pops. Like you look at the pendants there, okay, there's your pop there. You look here at the owner's artwork. You know, you don't see a lot of wild countertops or paints and things like that. Transitional, which is what most of you would buy. The blending of yesteryear and today, the teeter-totter theory. What that is we all grew up with that teeter-totter. You can have that kitchen look more traditional or more contemporary on how you, based on how you accessorize it. Common to have a traditional door on a frameless box. Accessorizing plays a major role in transitional. This is a German line of cabinetry I represent, and in a more of a traditional home. So you can see it's a shaker style door, but it has a lot of more modern things to it. Look at the hood, you know, the hardware, the cabinetry, things like that. Chardon, very transitional. So you can see we have very clean cut frameless cabinetry, mahogany cherry, black granite countertops, but look in the backdrop. We have very traditional crown molds and traditional white cabinetry. Brecksville. Now all of a sudden we're going into more of the cherries, frameless, but this is taking on a more of a traditional look. Look at the hood. So again, that teeter-totter, we can tweak this any which way we want. This is probably the most popular kitchen people want. This is this photo here. This is right in Chagrin Falls here. But frameless cabinetry, shaker white style door, very classic. This lends itself a little more modern. Look at the hood. Look at the hardware, the twisted hardware. Look at how instead of having a range, we took a very European. We took a cooktop with a separate wall oven. Look how sleek the hood is. You know, so we have all of those things playing out here. Another shot of it. You can see the glass table, and you can see the more modern light over the table. Okay, some of the different things that you can put into cabinetry. Okay, blind Lazy Susans. Maximize the space so efficiently. There's your Lazy Susan. Vegetable bin. Presented design this week, and one of the things they were most excited about was now they place put their potatoes and onions and things. Place for cookie sheets. This is all on when I have that checklist. This is all on there for you guys, so you don't miss anything. Because there's more than even what I have on these slides. Okay, the flip up and retract door. People are doing that more and more for command centers and things like that. It does not necessarily have to be, in this instance, liquor or appliances. One of the things also in my trends, people are going back to wanting to hide appliances, keep the countertops clean. Old Faithful, there's the old appliance garage that you may have at home now. People don't like timbre anymore though. Rollouts are very important in a design. file drawer. People are getting rid of the desk today, but they still want either a command center or something. Chopping block, pullouts. Pull-out pantry. Chef's pantry. Cutlery dividers. People that bake a lot, they have that KitchenAid mixer. Under counter pull-out spice. Pull-out towel bar. Drawer. Wine rack. Just on and on. Tilt downs. Bread box. Here's a really popular one. The pull-out dish stack. Very popular. People probably even put 2 in today, but you can put all your dishes, they can be organized, those pegs can be moved around. Okay, cabinet layouts. Okay, first thing is when you start talking about the project, right through this slide, and where do you start? Like, how do you get started? You know, cut out magazine pictures. I probably ought to take this out of here. I'm not. I'm going to keep it in here. But people aren't really even doing magazines anymore because of the website Houzz, H-O-U-Z, or Pinterest or whatever, and you can create libraries and idea books and mood boards and things like that. Attend shows. I don't know if anybody is at the point where they would go back to the show yet. You know, but down at the shows, the one show has been the Home and Garden show. It's okay. The one show is NARI, and that's my favorite show. And that they delayed it till the end of March, and that's a good show to go to. You're not going to get a ton of ideas with kitchens and baths, but if you just want to get out and talk to some people or meet some people, you know, that's the best of the shows. There's Houzz, if you don't know about Houzz yet. Terrific. You know, get on there, and just millions of pictures from great designers around the world, and you can save them and create a filing cabinet. It's all free. Garden Web is a forum. It's actually attached to Houzz, where you can go on there and ask questions of all your peers from around the world. Talk to friends. That's the best. You know, always the best. Who did you do this? Or, you know, who did this for you? Where did you buy that? You know. Any other questions, you can always call me too if you need resources or help or guidance. Okay, so when you start looking at cabinetry, stock versus custom, there's actually one in the middle too, and that is called semi-custom. And I'll talk about that as we go through. But stock cabinetry basically is that's what it is. It's stock. It's stock somewhere. Very limited on the doors and the woods and the finishes. No flexibility to the cabinetry, good pricing, and it'll be shorter lead times. Custom doors or custom cabinets, we have several doors. I mean, basically, like I have one line of cabinet that I have my Amish people make out towards Middlefield. Like I can do anything with them, you know. several different woods. I can use different woods with them. Beautiful finishes. We can customize finishes. Complete flexibility to the cabinetry. The pricing is going to be a little more. Longer lead times. Just to give you guys examples of what lead times are now out in the industry, you're probably looking at, for custom or semi-custom, 20 to 25 weeks once you put an order in. Now, what's semi-custom? Basically, semi-custom is they have standard sizes, but they have a place in the shop that can customize cabinetry. So let's say you wanted a special hood, or you want one cabinet that's retractable doors so that you can put your TV, things like that. They'll have that there. So the pricing is going to fall right in between. You're not going to pay custom pricing for everything, but you're going to have that flexibility. So that's something that's really nice. I've always sold a line of semi-custom cabinetry. Okay, what should you expect from a kitchen designer? I'll show you. This was a plan out in Bay Village that I did, but this is a floor plan. Now you look at this and I say, okay, how many drawers do I have? This and that. You're gonna have no idea. You'll get a general flow. You'll see where the cooktop is, the sink, things like that. But you'll have no idea. And that's, I'll jump to this first. That's why we do elevations. Elevations will help guide you and to see, oh, I see you put the dishwasher on the right, and look, I'm getting 4 drawer stacks next. Oh, look what you did to the sink. You put the decorative toe, so those are really nice to have elevations. What I had jumped ahead of was an electrical plan. When you get back deep into the project, they'll be doing an electrical plan. I had that ready for the do-it-yourselfer this morning. Just more elevations. This is really fun. You can do renderings. And what a rendering is, it's basically, and I have a guy out of Washington, D.C. that does this for me. When my guy does it, it looks like a photograph. That's actually a computer generated rendering, but you can see what your kitchen would look like before it's even done. Really, it's well worth the investment. That's at Strongsville Kitchen that you saw the photograph on the modern cabinetry. But now all of a sudden, there's the rendering they saw. So it looks almost identical. A lot of people come up to me, the husband will pull me aside or the wife will pull me aside and say, Jerry or Jen, they have really a lot of trouble visualizing. What can you do to help them? Okay, enough about styles and cabinetry. Let's now jump in talking about appliances. Okay, so this was, again, another nice slide where I call it the workflow study, where you have your main areas of the kitchen. And with your main areas of the kitchen, the thicker the line is, the more time you travel between. So you can just see there strategically, when you start laying a kitchen out, between the sink and the mixing area, the sink and the stove, that you're going to have thicker lines. One thing that's really surprising is look where the ovens are. You don't need to put the ovens in the main area of the traffic. You can go and have them off to the side, and where it doesn't take up as much counter space or critical, storage space. Triangle method. This is a great checks and balances if somebody's doing a design for you. Would be to go and to understand, do you have enough counter space or not? So when you're working here, you should have in a kitchen, you should have between 14 and 24 feet of when you add those 3 lines together between the sink, the cooking, and the refrigeration. If you're between that 14 and 24 feet, you're in great shape. And then if you're more, and let's say you're blowing out walls and things like that, then you can go and you can do mini triangles. You can put a vegetable sink in, or you can do, there's just a lot that you can do with that space to alleviate that problem. And if you're under 14, you can talk about putting the sink in the corner or cooking in the corner, or, so that you free up the straight shot of counter space. Okay, refrigerators. Different options for refrigeration. First, you want to determine, do you want an up and down or a side by side, or today a French door? Are you getting a new unit, or are you keeping the existing unit? Are the doors reversible? Doors should open into the work area. I know a lot of this sounds common sense, but believe me, I've seen it all over the years. Location should be near the eating area and yet close to the sink and the cooking. Counter space needed is at least 15 inches on one side. And here's the different types of units. Freestanding, counter depth, built-in, fully integrated built-in. Under counter, drawers. There's a freestanding. We're all used to it. Sticks out 30 to 33 inches. Old Faithful. People aren't putting those in as much anymore. Counter depth. Now all of a sudden, we take that first concept that we just saw and we go 24 inches deep with the box. Okay, so now all of a sudden you get a much sleeker look. Still 36 inches. That's a French door, by the way, for people that don't know. That is the biggest seller, even of all the built-ins, everything, the counter depth, because it gives you the advantage of the side-by-side with the swing. But when you open it, you don't have that center section with that divider. It's all open on the inside. You know, put a large turkey in to defrost, things like that. Built-ins. Now, a counter depth, by the way, is going to go anywhere from $2,000, well, I would say $2,000 to $3,500 on average. When you start getting into these built-ins, you're going to be more in probably the $8,000 to $14,000 range. Now, the one advantage I will tell you with appliances today, they make them to last only 10 years. So that, I mean, they're made to do that. So you're going to be lucky, excuse me, if you get anywhere from 8 to 10 years out of these appliances. If you invest in the upscale, the more expensive ones, then you're going to be getting anywhere from 20 to 30 years out of them. There's the integrated. So now all of a sudden, you shut those drawers, you don't know you have refrigeration in the room. Under the counter refrigeration. Put refrigerator drawers. Okay. Different options for microwaves. Shouldn't be set on the countertop. Designer needs sizes to work in. Door swing is important in the design. Can be bought as one unit or as a unit with an oven. Location should be in the refrigerator area and also near the eating area. Do you know that I don't put microwaves in kitchens anymore? Very seldomly. Because there's an appliance that's replacing it. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's called the speed oven, which is a microwave built in, but there's a microwave where you can put a trim kit on it, so you can take a regular microwave that it looks built in. Microwave drawers. People don't want to see the microwave up anywhere. You can put it down below in a drawer. Okay, cooking. Different options for cooking. Gas versus electric. Downdraft versus updraft. Commercial versus residential. Big question, one oven or two. How many burners on the cooktop? Location should be in the cooking area naturally along within range of the sink. Need to have plenty of counter on both sides. Minimum 12 inches, ideal to have 24. Here's my favorite cooktop. I think it's worth the extra money. That is a Wolf cooktop. And with the Wolf cooktop, what I like about this cooktop, it's flush with the counter. You have continuous grates. And look where the knobs are. The controls are on the front, so you gain more space on your burner top. There's professional style. And people are coming back more around to going into the professional style. But what the professional style is going to give you is more of a commercial type of cooking. Now you have to be careful with the pro style cooking, then you have to go pro style venting. So it can get expensive. Like what you're looking at right there is probably about $15,000 worth of between the hood and the range. And then you have all the labor to vent that big hood out. Slide in ranges, 30-inch range. So now what we can do is we can take, I'll go to Old Faithful here. Okay, a lot of us grew up with this or still have this. So you could see, you could take the same concept, make it much more sleeker today. And that's called the slide in range. Teppanyaki hobs, where if anybody, I've only sold one throughout all the years of my designing, but what you can do with this is it basically acts as a, you know, when you go to the hibachi places and things like that, is that you can go and that stainless, when it gets hot, it bows almost like a wok and it flares. It's hotter in the center and then it bows out and is less hot as you go. Not very popular at all. What we can do at venting, we can downdraft where the air gets sucked down and out. Here's something that replaced electric. I really don't do electric anymore because what's replaced electric is to go what's called induction. And induction basically is just an electric field under glass, simply put. And what happens is the magnetic field makes the pots and pans, the metal in them, makes the molecules move very, very, very fast, which causes friction, which then causes heat. So this is a cooktop that does not generate any heat. The pot does. Steam cooking. Steam cooking is very, very popular today. Again, it's an investment. You know, when you do your kitchen, it's like buying a car. Are you going to go out shopping for a Honda or an Accord, or Honda Accord or a Camry, or are you going to look at BMWs and Mercedes and things like that? If you really cook, no matter where you want this to end up, you should seriously look at steam cooking. It's the healthiest way to cook. You could put the potatoes, the broccoli, carrots, and the salmon in, and none will come out smelling or tasting like the other. And you'll get the best cut of fish you ever had. You can do your breads. You can roast chickens and turkeys. I mean, it's just really incredible. I showed you earlier the single cooktop, you know, with the oven below. Double ovens. Very seldomly am I putting a double oven in today. Okay, and I'll explain now with the next slide why. Okay, so the three things, and this is probably the toughest decision in a kitchen. You need a full single size oven. You flat out need that in a kitchen. But then the second oven could be your steam, or it could be your speed. What about if I told you you could have restaurant quality oven roasted baked potato in 10 to 15 minutes in this little unit here? You will go in and probably do in this unit, if you don't put the steam in, you will probably do about 80 to 90% of your cooking in this unit. And it's pre-programmed with all the different recipes and menus and all that stuff. It's really, really a nice unit. And you're not breaking the bank. But that's a speed oven. So the biggest thing people are doing today is they're deciding between the speed and the steam and then the single, you know, single oven's a given. But they're deciding. So they'll either put all three or they'll put two of the three in. Convection. And the way the speed works, by the way, 3 units, three sources. Microwave, so you could use this just as a microwave oven if you want. It could be with convection. Convection is that hot air, I'm going to show you in the next slide, and then halogen lamp that gives you that searing heat coming down. And all three work in unison, and they're all programmed. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's all programmed in. And there's what convection is. It's basically a fan blowing around the back of the oven and giving you even cooking for your Christmas cookies or your turkey, things like that. The other thing it does is 25% less cooking time. And let's say we put a turkey in there. You can put a turkey in there and it'll all of a sudden, it'll crust over the skin and give you that nice tender cut. Venting, we talked about downdraft for a moment. Here's some different venting options. Updraft, downdraft in the cabinet, downdraft inline, and downdraft remote. What do all those mean? Well, let's jump right in. Okay, so what we can do is we have the hood and you can vent it out. There are some hoods that are ductless where actually they'll blow back into the room. So if you're on a tight budget or you're in a situation where, let's say you're in a high rise and you have no access to get out, then you can go ductless. You can put the blower on the outside of the house. And that's called a remote. And that's what you're seeing, that middle slide. I talked about inline. That would be on the left, the bottom there. You see you could put the blower in the basement. This is all downdraft, by the way. You could put the blower in the cabinet. And like I said, you could put the blower out either out on the roof or outside, and that's what's called remote. Okay, dishwashers. You guys are all quiet today, no questions. One of the things too that when you go into the remodel, okay, is anybody thinking out there of doing their kitchen this year? If somebody can just shoot me to make sure you guys are all awake out there. But if anybody can just give me that answer, because I can put stuff and tell you what you're in trouble getting right now and things like that, or your timing. But a dishwasher today is going to be a struggle. So, but if there's an appliance that's going to be a struggle, a dishwasher is the one to struggle with. So what you can do is make sure when you do your remodel, keep your old dishwasher for right now, because you may have to put it back until you get another dishwasher. Like my favorite dishwasher, I have two out there, Bosch and Miele. You can't find a Bosch dishwasher today. And I don't know when we're going to get them. But so that's why we're putting the existing dishwashers back in. But different options for the dishwashers. We want to keep near the sink. Option to raise so as not to have to bend over. Available in 18 to 24-inch wide models. So they do come, and they also available in drawer units. Also fully integrated. Fully integrated means, like, remember that refrigerator where you don't see it. Can cover with cabinet panels or stainless. And you want to shop for stackability and quietness. There's a fully integrated. You notice you don't see the, you don't see the controls. They're on the top, so you don't see them when the door's shut. There's the drawers I'm talking about. You can have a double drawer stack. You can do a single drawer. Raised dishwasher. Okay, raised dishwashers. Now, if you have a bad back, that's where it's right under the TV there. And there's a good shot of basically, there's a 30-inch on the far right. There's a 30-inch oven with a steam oven above. Okay, compactors. We really don't use them today. I can't remember the last one I put in, but I kept it on the slide presentation. Usually come 15 inches wide, normally kept by the sink, but it's okay to throw it in other areas. Smells can be an issue. Cabinet fronts are available to cover them also. An optional unit if you don't recycle. Weight of the bag is an issue. She is. Some miscellaneous appliances that are out there. Wine refrigeration, ice makers, steam hobs, beverage centers, grills. We'll go through each one. There's the wine. It could be either under counter or it can be a full size. Ice makers, coffee machine, warming drawers, very popular today. You want to keep your food warm without it drying out. And they can be integrated also. Steamer hob, popular before the ovens came about, but actually you could go and put a steamer hob in a countertop, and you could be steaming vegetables, pastas, things like that. And so it's a nice little unit. But if you're going to invest in the oven, you really would not need this. Hob system, you probably have not heard of this in the past, but you can go and gang appliances together. And that creates a hob system. It's a European term. Americans will call them modulars. So you can mix halogens that you see on the left, cooking or induction, gas, grills, griddles. Okay, so that's it for appliances. Countertops. Types of different countertops out there. Okay, we have tile, solid surface, stone, stainless, butcher, quartz, granite. Quartz is the most popular. I do probably 80% quartz in my countertops. Laminate. Tile. Okay, the pros of tile. Heat proof, wipes clean. Individuals can be replaced. Heat resistant. Beautiful, rich look. Resist moisture. Cons, can be expensive. Hard to keep the grout lines clean. Surface isn't smooth enough to roll out the dough or the cutting. If you see tile today in a kitchen, it's usually going to be a Southwest kitchen. Tile was really popular before quartz came out and things like that. Solid surface. You might know the term out there called Corian. Chips, dents, scratches can be fixed easily. Excellent color choices. Integral sinks where they can be molded in. Unique edge treatments. Potential to crack with the heat. I hate that word, expensive, because what might be expensive to me might not be to you, and vice versa. Can tend to stain, but spots can be removed. For solid surface. This was huge before, again, quartz came out. It was either granite back in the 80s and 90s or Corian. And the proper term is solid surface. But there it is right there. I use it a lot more in modern type of situations. Somebody just looking for a white countertop, or use a lot of it in bathrooms with the molded sinks and things. Stainless steel, does not stain, attractive contemporary look. Integral sink, scratches easily. You have to be careful with stainless. Can tend to be expensive. Tend to water spot. But again, beautiful, beautiful look. Butcher block. Very seldomly am I doing butcher block today. Doesn't dull the knife blades. Can be sanded and resealed. Porous, got to be careful about that with bacteria. Tend to be unsanitary if you don't take care of it. Now, what's interesting is the picture that I'm going to show you. You say, wow, that's not butcher block. So this is, if people are going to put wood in today, they're going to do more of the exotic woods. Again, very seldomly am I doing it, but this is what people are doing as opposed to that traditional butcher block. And the reason they're not doing the butcher blocks as much is because a lot of the sinks today come with butcher options that build right into the sink, and, you know, or portable cutting. Quartz, great color selection, consistent, heat resistant. You do not need to seal it. expensive, will have seams, not a cutting surface. And you shouldn't set hot things on there either. Yeah, same thing with granite because of the sealants. There's a great example of a quartz countertop. Granite, resistant to scratches, durable, heat resistant, resistant to chips, stain resistant, unique. There's some beautiful, beautiful pieces of stone out there when you go looking. And granite can either be expensive or not. I mean, you could, if you're saying, oh, I have a rental home, I want to put in a relatively inexpensive countertop, you can get a price group A granite and be almost at the price of laminates. We'll have seams, need to reseal every 15 years. Yeah, so they have 15-year sealers out there now that are very effective, where it used to be every 2 years. That's probably my favorite all-time countertop. That's granite. Laminate, inexpensive, great color selection. You can apply wood edging, easy upkeep, impact resistant, will scorch and scratch, cannot repair it, cannot clean with abrasives. It's a nice looking laminate top. Look at even the bull-nosed edges that you can do with it. Some of the backsplashes we can do stainless steel, glass. I've done glass in the past. It's beautiful. Tile. Anything for tile. I mean, you can see I showed this one. That's an iridescent smaller tile. But I mean, there's just so many tiles out there today to really make that backsplash be a statement. Sinks. Materials we can use: stainless, cast iron, fire clay, quartz, stone, Corian or that solid surface. Different styles: single bowl, double bowl, triple bowl, self-rimming. I'll talk about all these in detail. Undermount, integral, farmhouse, high-low, fire sinks. So going back to the left materials, I don't do much cast iron anymore because of fire clay. Because cast iron tends to chip and scratch and things, and fire clay has replaced it. Not replaced it, but it's come on. It's taken a lot of sales away from the cast iron over the years because fire clay is a virtually indestructible sink. Stainless, we all know stainless. One of the things you're going to see when you go stainless shopping, if you go stainless there, look at that inner edge, how sharp that is, which is really, really attractive. The only negative to that is you can't clean it. You can't get in there and clean those corners. So what they've done, instead of having that big radius, which is very old-fashioned, they've gone and come up with what's called a micro radius, where it's a much tighter radius, but it's not squared off like that. There's cast iron. That's called a low divide sink. So if you want a double sink, but you want a low divide, so if you ever have that need to get a large pot or pan in there, you can do that. There's the fire clay. That finish has been impregnated in at 2200 degrees Fahrenheit. And so it's so durable. So if you're looking for that cast iron look, you should really look into the fire clay. Quartz, love it. Probably the most affordable sink for the dollar. Beautiful sink. The brand I like is called Blanco. There's a low divide again, but they have some beautiful designer colors. You can undermount it, you can self-rim it, whatever you want to do. But you should get on that Blanco website. That won't chip or scratch. Really nice. There's Corian. Again, that should say integral sink with solid surface, but there you can have it all molded as one. Bar sink. vegetable sinks, single bowl. I would say single bowl is the most popular sink out there right now. Here's a real big one. Again, depending on where you want your dollars to be in this kitchen. But Edelman has these on display. I have 2 clients right now that have gone crazy over these, and that's called the galley sink, where you can see it's a water station, not a sink. And you have all these things that 2-tiered. They can slide colanders and cutting boards, and there's your dish drainer. You know, so many accessories. So I would get onto the Galley Sink website and really see if you're interested in that. You will spend some money for it though. That's self-rimming, that term I use, not used much anymore. If you're going to use it with laminate, let's say in a laundry room or something, where the sink sits on top, that's undermount. Integral sink, there's another shot of it. Farmhouse or apron front, very popular again. It comes and goes, the popularity, and it's back again. If you're interested in what that little thing on the left of the sink is, that's a composting can. You can see there's just so much in the kitchen. You need to take your time. It's good you're taking the class to get started on all this. Different types of faucets. I like to use 2 places I like to use for plumbing is Edelman Plumbing on Richmond Road, and then Ferguson's. You can go see all the different types of faucets. All different types. Delta Brizio is my favorite brand. Instant hots, you can get that instant hot steaming water. Or even if you want to just put a filtered water system in. You can do a dual instant hot that gives you hot and filtered room temperature water. Lotion dispensers. There's the filtered water. Air switch, I love. Air switch is that little lady on the bottom, and you just hit that button and the disposer turns on. Hit that button, the disposer turns off. Okay, and we'll finish it up today with flooring. Different materials we can use: stone, hardwood, engineered wood, tile, laminate, vinyl. Stone, it's a big debate, do I keep stone on here? And I'm going to, but I don't do any stone anymore, say because of porcelain tile, which we'll talk about in a moment. But natural stone's beautiful, extremely durable. Hard stones are recommended, such as granite, slate, limestone, due to the fact they will not absorb dust and dirt as easily as others. Limestone seems to be the people's choice. Price falls on the higher side, especially with the labor, and the lifespan is virtually unlimited. But that's a stone floor. Now, there's something we're going to talk about in a second called porcelain. I couldn't tell you, if I didn't do this kitchen, I couldn't tell you whether that was porcelain or whether that was stone. Hardwood. Denser the wood, the more durable. Oak and maple are the common choices. Hardwood, when I say oak, it's white oak. It's what most people prefer, and they prefer the wider planks today. Hardwood is popular because it works with both contemporary and traditional. Notorious for its warmth and resilience. Hardwood will last forever. It's a beautiful hardwood floor. You know, and you can go and my favorite place to go look for flooring is Marshall Carpeting, Marshall One. They have a lot of the flooring I'm going to talk about, but they have the pre-finished floors that you can go and put down. Engineered wood. Okay, this is something to understand. What we talked about was the hardwood up front was naturally that was a solid wood, but engineered wood, and you should not be scared of this. Actually, you should probably jump on this even more than the solid wood, but made from a combination of solid wood and a ply sublayer. Option to get pre-finished means that there's no smelly or non-healthy odors coming from the finishing process, which is nice. Engineered wood is ideal for more humid areas, and also you can go with wider planks with it. Price point is medium, high, and lifespan again is unlimited. So that's engineered wood. So basically, it's either a quarter to a half of an inch, not a half, but I would say anywhere from a quarter to 3/8, where it's the solid wood, and then underneath it is plywood. And the advantage to that is you could put it by a lake. You could go with the wider planks again. People want that wider plank, you know, that 5-inch, 6-inch, where you could have issues with cupping if you go solid wood and you're around humidity. And you could buy that pre-finished, or you could buy it unfinished and have it finished on site. Tile, highly sought out after for its durability, low maintenance qualities. Tile's been used for centuries. A nice feature of tile allows us to be creative in the design process and introduce decorative patterns. Porcelain tiles tend to resemble natural stone. We talked about that at a fraction of the price. Price point medium, lifetime virtually unlimited. There's a porcelain tile floor. They have porcelain that even looks like wood. You know, you would think you have a wood floor. So let's say you're on a lake or something, or let's say you have a pool, you know, and there's a lot of traffic coming in, where you could go and have a porcelain wood-looking floor. Laminate flooring, not popular today at all. Basically, it's a hard surface consisting of fiberboard core and melamine wear layer. It's plasticky. I don't even know if I should be talking about it because people don't put it in anymore. I'm going to jump to what people are doing. This is the one right here. Luxury vinyl tile, one of the hottest floors on the market today. Excellent for durability. Reflects authentic wood or tile look. Can be laid over existing tile. This is a huge one because you don't have that expense of tearing all your tile out, and you can go right over. Look at that. Now that could be, look, there's the appearance of wood. That could be, look like tile. Again, Marshall sells this stuff. They do a terrific job with it. I will warn you, I'm not even warn you, but because you may want it, but if you go and look for luxury vinyl tile, about 80% of what you see is going to be wood look, and about 20% is going to be a tile look. So that's just something to think about, you know, when you go looking for it. But it's excellent for water. Let's say there's a dog that's coming in, or kids coming home from school, or this or that, and you're worried about the salt on the shoes or the water with the dog and things like that. Absolutely no worries. So you don't have to worry about any of that. So, okay, so that brings us to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If anybody's interested in or had any questions, they want to email me or need some guidance with anything, I'd be happy to do that. Again, I would seriously consider that webinar series because you would listen to about 20, 25 hours of me. Plus you get the book and you get everything for the $100. You know, contact me on that and I'll give you access to that too. Okay, well, thanks for going. Nobody had any questions, so go enjoy the day. And again, please feel that you email me if you have any questions that you want to talk about. Bye-bye.